فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر أما بنعمة ربك فحدث صدق الله العلي العظيم. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى محمد. رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقه قولي. الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على سيدنا ونبينا أبي القاسم المصطفى محمد وعلى آله الطيبين الطاهرين المعصومين سيما بقية الله في الأرضين. Dear brothers and sisters, respected elders, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'd like to start by thanking the organizers of this event, particularly Sister Zina. Thank you very much for this opportunity. It's always a pleasure and an honor to be able to speak to the youths out there. Okay, so this series, which we've prepared, inshallah, I think people are going to benefit from it and enjoy it very much. I hope that everybody enjoys it as much as I do. And it's a subject that is quite close to my heart, and it's this idea of heroism. When I was in university, this is something that I focused on as well in English literature, idea of being a hero. So the concepts and the ideas that we are planning to explore is this entire idea of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala pulling us and asking us to be the best that we can be. It's all going to be about unlocking the best within you and reaching the full potential that Allah gave you when He created you. So we're going to begin by unfolding and unraveling this idea that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to be a hero. A hero. And we're going to explore and discuss what that actually means. And you know, we're going to talk a little bit about superheroes as well. So firstly, the world, dear brothers and sisters, is going to tell you not to be a hero. It's going to tell you don't be a hero. The people around you, the people at school, and eventually when you go to work, everybody, the world around you is built to make you imprisoned in a cage of fear. And it wants you to not be a hero. And sometimes it will actually even just come out and say it outright. It will say, don't try and be a hero. Right. The Quran, what does it tell us? It says, إِنَّمَا ذَلِكُمُ الشَّيْطَانُ يُخَوِّفُ أَوْلِيَاءُهُ فَلَا تَخَافُوهُمْ وَخَافُونِي إِن كُنتُمْ تُؤْمِنُونَ. In kuntum mu'minin. It says it's only shaitan that makes you fear of his allies. So don't fear him and fear me if you believe, if you truly believe. Why is Allah telling you to fear him? Is it because Allah is some big, bad, terrible enemy that wants everybody to be terrified of him? No, not at all. It's actually very simple. If somebody is afraid of Allah, that person will not have fear of anything else. He will become absolutely and utterly fearless of all things that he is faced with in life. And we're going to explore this a little bit more. But let's just think about that for a moment. It's Iblis, it's Shaitan, the Quran is telling us. That it's Iblis, it's Shaitan, the devil, that causes you to be afraid of his allies. And Allah is telling you not to be afraid of him. Now, when it comes to not being a hero, so For example, what will happen? There's lots of situations in your life where you will be presented with an option. Many choices will be presented to you throughout your life where you will see that you have a choice between helping somebody, between saving somebody, between actually reaching out to stop something bad from happening. And on the other side, you'll be presented with a lot of fear. Fear. It's all about fear. As well as fear, it's about material possessions. And because of these two things, fear on one side and attachment to the dunya on the other, many people will not embark on this sacred and beautiful and divine journey of reaching their full potential, which is a journey that Allah wants you to undertake. And now, what happens in life is either you'll be told not to be a hero, not to confront injustice, not to stop bad things from happening, or another thing will happen. The world will present to you this idea that if you must be a hero, then be the hero that we define for you. So you have two options here. First of all, don't be a hero. But what about those people who absolutely have to? They feel this urgency inside them to excel and to be better and to push their limits and to try to be the best that they can be. What happens with those types of people? Well, the dunya presents them with another option. And it says to them, if you must be a hero, then be the hero that we define for you. And that's where the media comes into it. The media, brothers and sisters, and respected elders, is like a curtain that has been drawn over our eyes. And it's actually distracted us from a lot of the realities that we live in. So there's three things that I'd like to discuss about the media: the good, the bad, ugly. These are three things, three descriptive words that we'll use to describe what the media has done to people. So let's first discuss the good, because there's many positive sides to what the media has done for us. And it's actually fascinating, and I could talk about this for hours, but don't worry, I won't. But let's just discuss it briefly. So the good things that the media has done is it has presented the fundamental kind of divine structure of life, the universe and everything. What it's essentially done is presented this idea of there being good and evil. And it's an idea which is close to all of us. It speaks to the fitrah inside us. Isn't it interesting how everybody enjoys watching movies? Everybody enjoys watching movies and sitcoms and consuming different types of fictional content. Why? Now, for believers, I can totally understand why, because fiction is just presenting this idea of good versus evil. There'll be a hero, there'll be a villain, and everybody likes to see that hero overcome the villain. Even if we're not talking about superheroes, even if you're talking about a normal movie, about, like, it could be a rom-com, it can be a comedy, it can be any drama, you'll always see this central theme, which is this idea that the protagonist or the main character will encounter some struggles in their life or throughout the story, and they'll overcome those struggles and they'll become a better human being because of it. Even, by the way, if you're thinking of tragedies, even in tragedies, this theme exists. This theme of good versus evil, this theme of overcoming a trial or tribulation or some sort of problem and becoming better or arriving at a new understanding. So when it comes to media theory, and I won't dwell on this too much, but just try to understand this idea. When you study media theory, you learn that there is a concept in narrative theory particularly that argues that every story that exists, every narrative or story that exists has this idea of there being an equilibrium, an establishment, a character, a setting. That equilibrium then gets disrupted, and then an establishment of a new equilibrium. The character learns something new. The setting becomes a new kind of setting. A beginning, middle, and an end. The beginning, there will be some kind of normality. The middle, that normality will get disrupted, and the characters within the story will have to do things in order to overcome that disruption. And then the ending is a new establishment. This, dear brothers and sisters, respected is a pattern which is undeniable, and you cannot escape it. Whichever movie you go to, even if it's made by atheists who have no belief in God, I find it fascinating that this structure exists in all media. You cannot create a story without this structure. And this structure just happens to be the actual divine structure of life, the universe, and everything. Dear brothers and sisters, respected elders, we are living such a structure. In your life, you will go through pretty much the same thing. You will have a certain establishment, you will be a certain person, something will happen in your life, and it will change you either for the better or for the worst. Okay, and whether you arrive at something better or whether you change yourself in a better way or a worse way comes down to you, and that comes down to your perspective. Your life can be a tragedy if you want it to be, and your life can be an epic adventure, an epic tale if you want to be. Every media outlet, every movie, every sitcom, every comedy, and by the way, you can find this in the most trivial of examples. For example, go to a cartoon like Tom and Jerry. For example, you can find that at the beginning, Tom will be having a nap. That's the equilibrium. Then what happens? Jerry comes along and he's stealing some cheese or something, or this is the problem that's been presented. Then what happens? Tom has to chase Jerry, and then, you know, they arrive at a new equilibrium at the end where either on his comeuppance and Tom has gotten his cheese, for example. In the most trivial example, you can find this structure: equilibrium, disruption of the equilibrium, and a new equilibrium being established. And you can find it in the most extraordinary movies which are targeting adults. For example, like in Batman, you know, at the beginning you have a small frail child who is afraid of the world around him. And Gotham, the city, is full of crime, equilibrium. Then undergoes a journey. He wants to become better in order to confront the enemy. The equilibrium is disrupted. Then at the end of the movie, what you'll find is he has become a fully fledged hero, and Gotham, the city, has become freer of crime, and it's become a better place. Okay, so you can find it in cartoons like Tom and Jerry, and you can find it in fiction, Batman, and Marvel comics. You can find it all over the place. This structure is a divine structure. It says in the Quran, فَأَقِمْ وَجْهَكَ لِلدِّينِ حَنِيفًا فِطْرَةَ اللَّهِ الَّتِي فَطَرَ النَّاسَ عَلَيْهَا لَا تَبْدِيلَ لِخَلْقِ اللَّهِ ذَلِكَ الدِّينُ قَيِّمٌ وَلَكِنَّ أَكْثَرَ النَّاسِ لَا يَعْلَمُونَ. Turn your face to the upright religion. Talking about this fitrah, this divine innate fitrah upon which Allah has created human beings. There is no changing in the creation of Allah. It doesn't change, always the same. That is the upright religion, but most people just don't know. They have no idea that this exists within them. And it's fascinating, isn't it, that we see so many people flocking to watch such movies and enjoying these cartoons. And we watch these on a daily basis, and sometimes we binge watch episodes of comedies and sitcoms and dramas, and we fail to recognize that this pattern which exists is actually a pattern in our own lives. Or maybe we do realize it, but does it does it become such a realization that it compels us to change our lives dramatically and to become the protagonists and the heroes of the life that we are living? That's the question. So anyway, there are many good things that we can find in media. Now let's discuss the bad. So there are good things that the media presents for us, but there's all bad things. And the bad things are, for example, it will present sins. It will present sins or unlawful violence, drugs, swearing at people, disrespecting parents. It will present illicit behavior, premarital relations, all of these kinds of. And what the media will do is it will glorify such things. It will make you think that in order to be a hero, these are the things that you need to adopt. And the issue is not in presenting these sins per se, but the issue and the thing which is bad about media is this idea that these things are glorified. If you look at the way that these sins are presented, it's always in a glamorous way. It's always in this way. And what happens when you continuously consume such media is eventually it will start to speak to your heart. We mentioned before that the Holy Quran, it says, وَأَنَّهُ أَضَحَكَ وَأَبْكَى. It is He who causes people to laugh and cry. Laugh and cry. See, there is something divine in when a human being is compelled to laugh or cry. And there's a theory that says that, look, if you can get somebody to laugh or cry, you've opened up their heart. And when their heart is open, you can put whatever ideologies you want inside, and the heart will accept it. Now, just think about this for a moment. How often have we allowed the media to cause us to laugh or cry? Remember, dear brothers and sisters, whenever something has an emotional impact on us, it's going to affect us. Whatever ideologies are being presented, if they're presenting sins in a glorious way, it will affect our mind, our body, and our soul if we're not careful. So that's the bad thing that media is doing. But then there's a really ugly thing that the media is doing as well. What's that ugly thing that it's doing? This is the real dangerous thing. And this is something that many of us have not yet realized, and we need to realize it and recognize it so that we train ourselves not to be tricked by it. The media, particularly fiction in today's world, is defining good and evil. It is, so we established at the beginning that one of the good things that it's doing, and one of the things which is inescapable for the media to do, is to present this idea of good versus evil, to present this idea of the good guy eventually, being rewarded for his good actions, of the media presenting this idea of evil being revealed and bad people getting what they deserve at the end of the movie, or at the end of the sitcom, or at the end of the drama. Yes, these things are realities, but what the media is also doing, and this is the dangerous thing, is it's defining what it means to be a hero. It's defining what it means to be good and what it means to be evil. And many of us have been so dramatically impacted by what the media has told us what is right and wrong, that we don't even realize that it's incorrect. We don't even realize that half of what we're believing in isn't coming from Allah. It's not coming from the Quran. It's not coming from the Ahlul Bayt. Many of the things that we believe to be right or wrong is coming from media organs which don't care about me or you. They're just trying to make money. They're actually trying to indoctrinate people. Our ideologies are coming from people we don't even know. And we don't know what religion they're following. They might even be following and literally worshipping the devil, shaitan. And obviously when they present stuff to you, they're not going to do it in a way that makes it obvious that they're worshipping the devil. No, they're going to clothe what ideologies they present to you in a beautiful way. So, this is what the dunya does, dear brothers and sisters, respected elders. It's not only going to tell you, don't be a hero, but it's also going to tell you, if you must be a hero, be the heroes that we show you. It'll never show you people like Imam Khomeini. It will never show you people like Shahid Hujaji. It won't show you the prophets and imams and Ahlul Bayt. It won't show you the great companions. No. It will instead show you people like Batman. It will show you people like James Bond, a womanizer, alcohol, and it will glorify some of the things these characters do. It will present to you heroines like Lara Croft and Marvel characters, superheroes, which do have good traits. They also have bad traits, and they also have ugly traits. And we have to be very careful and cautious about these things and not allow these things to affect us. The true heroes, brothers and sisters, respected elders, are not these heroes that are being presented by America, but they are in fact the heroes that exist in reality today. And you have the potential to be the heroes of tomorrow. And that's what this entire series is about. And inshallah, let's take the maximum use of this holy month of Ramadan to try to and strive to be the best that we can be. This might be our last Ramadan. We don't know. And we have to try to push ourselves to be the best that we can be. Now, there's just some more points that I want to make before we move on to the question and answer session. Do have your questions and questions ready, inshallah. There is a quote that from one of my favorite movies, and it says, everybody dies, but not everybody truly lives. This is what Allah wants from us. It wants us to recognize that there's human beings everywhere, but not all of them are truly living. It wants us to take up the challenge and truly become alive. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is your friend. He loves you. It says in the Quran, وَنَحْنُ أَقْرَبُ إِلَيْهِمْ مِنْ حَبْلٍ وَرِيدٍ. We are closer to them. We're closer to you than your life vein. Allah is closer to you than the very veins in your body. He's with you. And Allah, through the Quran, through the Ahlul Bayt, through the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, is trying to take you out of the cave, ignorance, of fear, of worrying about what people think about you, worrying about what will happen, worrying about your livelihood, afraid of what would happen if you act out, if you speak. It wants you to take, Allah, the Islam, it wants you to take you out of this self-improvement and empower you so that you can help make the world a better place for yourself and for others. That is the real purpose and mission of Islam. Now, I just want to quickly give you a verse of the Quran to highlight for us what the mentality of those who fail to understand. They might be Muslims, but they fail to understand what the prophets and Ahlul Bayt actually want from us, because they want us to be heroes, guys. They want us to be the best that we can be. Imam al-Mahdi, Ajjalallahu ta'ala faraj al-Sharif, we can't even call him a hero. He's much greater than that. He's the savior. Those who follow him are heroes. There's 313. What are those 313? They're heroes. And we'll go to this verse of the Quran. And we'll go back to the story of Musa, when he spoke to Bani Israel, and he told Bani Israel, Ya Bani Israel, go and face the enemy. You're oppressed. The enemy is trying to oppress you. He's psychologically harmed you. He's taken away your wealth, harming you. Rise up to the challenge, become better, fight back. You know what Bani Israel said? They said, قالوا يا موسى لن ندخلها أبدا ما داموا فيها. They said, oh Musa, we will never enter that place as long as the enemy is there. اذهب أنت وربك. You go with your Lord. فقاتلا, and you fight the enemy. إنها هنا قاعدون. Surely we are sitting right here. Literally, that's what the Quran is saying about the mentality of Bani Israel and those who were the followers of Musa. When the Prophet and the Imam told them, go and fight the enemy, go and, they're spreading injustice, defend yourself. Bani Israel said, no, we're sitting right here. Literally, these are the words of the Quran. If you think about it, it's quite hilarious. How many of us have this mentality? Imam al-Hujjah al-Qa'im is asking us, and all of the Ahlul Bayt and the Prophet and all of the Prophets and the Quran is asking us to fight for justice on earth and to confront the enemies and to make the world a better place. We're saying, no, Imam Mahdi will come and sort everything out. This is not the mentality of the 313 elite soldiers of Imam Mahdi. This is not the mentality of heroes. And this actually answers a question for us. Go back to the media, think about any movie, any story. In fact, don't even think about fiction. Think about real stories. Think about the real stories that occurred throughout history. For example, the story of Musa and the story of Fir'aun and the story of Ibrahim and the prophets and and all of the great battles that happened throughout history and in Islamic history. Why few Muslims who were fighting against the enemies and defending themselves? Why were there so few prophets? There were 124,000 prophets in India, but why were they so few in number compared to the rest of the human race? And why did so few rise up to the challenge? It's fact. People are afraid and they're too attached to their material possessions. شغلتنا أموالنا وأهلنا. We were preoccupied, the Quran says. This is the mentality. Again, the Quran is illustrating for us the mentality of those who don't rise up to the challenge of life. They don't become heroes. Why? They say, شغلتنا. We were preoccupied with our properties and with our families. All these things are just tests for us, brothers and sisters. They stop us from rising to the challenge. And that's why there are so few heroes in the world. And that's why, if you look around, most people are just going about their daily lives and nobody's actually trying to make the world a better place. Now, the last point that I want to highlight is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is growing you step by step. And it starts from the home. It starts from when you're in the lap of your mother, when you're at home, and you notice for the first time some sort of injustice taking place. It might be as minuscule as a sibling hitting another sibling or stealing a toy from him. At that point, ask yourself, did you say, hey, this is wrong, don't do that? If you did, then you move on to the next phase. If you didn't, think about school. When you go to school and you see bullying taking place, if you see some sort of injustice taking place, did you take steps to stop that bullying from taking place? Or were you afraid? Did you get scared? Did you hide your face away and let that innocent person get bullied? And because of that, that person suffered. Maybe they went home and cried. That person was you. Did you stand up for yourself? Did others stand up for you? All of these things are signs for us. And Allah is showing us how to excel. And if we pass those tests, by the way, brothers and sisters, respected elders, then Allah will grow us onto the next phase of our lives. And we'll go to university. We'll go to work. Even in other places, anywhere where you see any form of injustice taking place, don't see it as, oh no, I should be afraid. No, Allah is empowering you. In fact, Allah is saying, "In tansurullaha yansurukum wa yuthabbit aqdamakum." If you help Allah, He will help you and He will strengthen your feet. He will make firm your feet. Allah isn't telling you to confront your fears because He he wants you to be harmed. No, Allah is saying, if you help me, how do you help Allah? Well, you help the cause of Allah on earth. What is the cause of Allah on earth? It is the cause of Imam al-Mahdi, which is to fill the world with justice. Justice today filled with injustice. In order to do that, dear brothers and sisters, respected elders, we need to have the courage to face up to our fears. This is why Imam Ali alayhi salam tells us, if you're afraid of doing something, do that thing. Dive into it. When we face, we'll find out something incredible about ourselves. We'll find out that we are way stronger than we actually thought we were. Allah wants us to recognize that we have these strengths. Look at what we are facing right now in the West in terms of Islamophobia. Sisters are having their hijabs pulled off. There are genuine threats and fears that we have. In fact, forget the West. Even in the East, Muslims, how we're being oppressed everywhere you look. These are tests for us. And we should never look at tests like, oh no, Allah is being cruel to me, or he's being hard on me. No, he's actually presenting you with an opportunity to become better. So to conclude, the world, dear brothers and sisters, respected elders, is going to tell you, first of all, don't be a hero. Allah assures us in the Quran that إنما الشيطان إنما ذلكم الشيطان يخوف أولياءه. It's only the shaitan that makes you afraid of his allies. فلا تخافوهم وخافوني إن كنتم مؤمنين. Do not fear him. So do not fear him. Fear me if you are believers. So the world will tell you, don't be a hero. Then it will tell you, be the heroes that we define for you. Once you get past those phases, inshallah, we'll recognize that the media is presenting to us good things. We should learn to adopt those good things, recognize the bad things, and recognize the evil things as well from the media. And also realize that Allah is growing us step by step throughout our lives, and he's giving us opportunities to become better human beings, become better humans within ourselves, first and foremost, then in society, then on a global stage. And through these little tests that we pass, he will help us to become better and better until, inshallah, we become heroes. Before, dear brothers and sisters, we move on to the question and answer session, I'd like to ask all of the people watching and listening to recite Surah Fatiha for today's marhumin, who are Hussein Ali, Walid Ghulam Ali, Amjad Hussein, Walid Hussein Ali, Sultan Muhammad, Faruq Bibi, Ghulam Muhammad, Walid Sultan Muhammad. Let's pray with a Surah Fatiha for the eternal souls of these people, and let's pray that their descendants and those loved ones of theirs who are alive today make themselves so much better that we manage to compensate for any flaws that they may have had in themselves, and may Allah accept all of their good deeds. Salawat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. So brothers and sisters, respected elders, if anybody has any questions and answers. So basically the structure, inshallah, throughout these sessions is we're going to have a half an hour session for speaking, and then I want to open up the floor for a discussion and questions and answers. I'll do my best, inshallah, to answer any questions you might have. And before we go into that, I'd just like to present to you something which Imam Ali alayhi salam teaches us. There's this hadith. I think it's narrated in Nahj al-Balagha. Anyway, he says that there are 5 things that should require your greatest anxiety to acquire them. So these 5 things, you should be anxious to get them. You should like really, really, really try your entire life to acquire these 5 things. The first of them is to have hope only in Allah. Have hope in nothing and no one except Allah. The second thing is to fear nothing except sin. The third thing is, if you do not know a thing, never feel ashamed to admit ignorance. Never feel ashamed to say, I don't know. The fourth thing is, if you don't know a thing, never feel ashamed to ask about it. And the fifth thing is to acquire patience. And it's the third and the fourth thing that I wanted to focus on now. Imam Ali alayhi salam is teaching us, don't feel ashamed to admit ignorance. If we don't know something, don't worry. Sometimes when you're in school, for example, or even in university or the workplace, I mean, I'm facing it now because I'm a Hausa student, right? Anywhere, you sometimes feel a little bit nervous of admitting that you don't know something. Imam Ali alayhi salam has taught us, never feel nervous. If you don't admit that you don't know something, you'll never open up that door for you to arrive at a new understanding of that thing. You have to be brave enough to admit that I don't know about this thing and I want to know about it. And the fourth thing was, ask questions, guys. Really, ask questions. Never feel ashamed to ask about things. You might think, oh, I can't ask that question. Younger people might know about it. These are signs of, unfortunately, jahiliyyah within ourselves. Islam teaches us to rise above these thoughts and emotions and actually just go ahead, embrace life, ask questions. So are you guys still listening? Is everybody still there? Have I just been talking to myself for the last 30 minutes? Okay, good. Okay. All right, fantastic. So, Sister Zinat, okay, I understand, guys. Okay, everybody's here. Great, fantastic. Alhamdulillah, great. Sister Zinat, should we open up for questions?
Yes.
Fantastic. Now, Ali.
Yes.
Bismillah.
Oh, swear. Yeah.
Ha 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 ha. Okay, so any questions, sister? Oh, by the way, guys, the questions don't have to be relevant to what we've discussed today. It can be anything and everything. So, I think sister is trying to figure out how to do this. How do I? In fact, I'm not very familiar with Zoom either. So let me just, how do I see people's messages? Because they just pop up on my screen for a moment and then they disappear. He's named some contemporary superheroes and models for the Islamic youth. Oh, Asant, there are some really good superheroes. First and foremost, I'd say Imam Sayyid Ali Khamenei. I mean, he's really a hero of our time. We should get connected to him. Our Maraji', our respected Maraji', all of them. May Allah bless them all. But obviously, that's kind of a lofty role model for us to take, isn't it? I mean, because they're all elderly men with big white beards, and like, how can we take that as a practical role model? But actually, no, there are young people as well who have arrived at high spirituality through the work that they did. And we have examples like Shahid Hujaji. I don't know if you guys know about Shahid Hujaji. So nobody could hear what I was saying. Oh, that's fantastic. That's technology for you. You heard Shahid Hujaji. Okay. I was saying that Shahid Hujaji, right, Shahid Hujaji. I was saying that he's actually somebody I hold very dear to my heart, because if he were alive today, he would be my age. And I was saying that, look, Shahid Hujaji, the amazing thing about him is, look, he went to defend the shrine of Sayyidah Zainab in Syria, which was being attacked by ISIS Daesh. And he was an incredible person. He actually did tawassul to the Ahlul Bayt, and he asked for them to have an ending which was similar to the Ahlul Bayt. And I don't know, if you just Google him, Shahid Hujaji, and just reading about him, it's just incredible that such a person could exist in our world. And it reminds people like Qasim in Karbala, and Qasim and the Shuhada of Karbala. And it makes you realize that, look, these are not just stories that we hear about. No, these are practical realities that we live in. And look, when it comes to being a hero, what's the ultimate hero that you can think of? And Imam Hussein alayhi salam and his companions do come to mind. Something that we're going to discuss as these sessions progress is this idea of making a sacrifice. And the bigger the sacrifice, the bigger the hero you are. There is no bigger sacrifice than what the Ahlul Bayt, and the particular focus here is on Imam Hussein alayhi salam. The sacrifice that he made in Karbala was just incredible. And remember, we said that it comes down to your perspective. Remember what Sayyidah Zainab said about, Sheikh Zakzaki, I'll come to that. Sayyidah Zainab said, "Ma ra'aytu illa jamila." I saw nothing but beauty. So the tragedy of Karbala, the beauty of it is this, that no matter what hardships you face in life, it depends on the way that you view those hardships. If you view them as a punishment from Allah, then there will be a punishment from Allah. Could you repeat that question? It just disappeared from my screen. And if you see those burdens and good things, then and opportunities to improve ourselves, then they will be. I'd like to ask Sister Zinat if you could choose questions that have been typed and then say them to me, and then I can write them down and address them one by one. It would be better that way, if it's possible. Is it necessary to read the Quran in Arabic? Sister Zinat, are you there? Have you gone for a break?
Assalamu alaikum, brother. Maybe anyone want to ask question, they raise their hand and I will unmute him for her.
Okay, fantastic. Did you hear that, guys? Sister Zinat said, yeah, so if anybody wants to ask a question, you can put your hand up and then Sister Zinat will unmute you, I guess. So just put your hand up and I think she'll be able to see you putting your hand up. And some people are shy.
Use emoji.
Okay. She said, use the emoji. You don't actually have to put your hand up. I was just joking. I assumed it was something else, but okay, yes. So you just do an emoji. Okay. Oh, Asante, yeah. Peace Upon Ibrahim is one of those books that you guys should definitely read, and it will connect you to a real hero that existed in our modern era. Shaheed Ibrahim Hadi. Shaheed Ibrahim Hadi. I've heard incredible things about it. I haven't read the book yet myself, but I have heard some incredible things about it. So, So one of the questions that I saw on the screen is it necessary to read the Quran in Arabic? I'd say, look, it's necessary to read the Quran in your language. It is necessary to read the Quran in your language. Whether you read it in Arabic or not depends on you. There is a flavor and a beauty and a wisdom behind the Quran being revealed in Arabic, and you just can't escape it. It is so incredible, the language, because I'm studying it now, and it really is. It's like algebra, but in a language. It's like there's so many things that you can do with just one word. And I'm an English literature student, right? So for me, it's all about the linguistics and similes and metaphors and puns and all the linguistic devices that you can use. The Arabic has so much depth, and the Quran itself is testifying that it has been revealed in Arabic. So definitely read it in Arabic, but it's necessary for you to read it in your own language as well. So side by side, don't force yourself to go towards the Quran. There are certain times where you feel like your heart is more open and you're more receptive to the message of Allah. At those times, be merciful with yourself and approach your heart with the Quran, with the sayings of the Ahlul Bayt. And there are other times where you just don't feel like doing it. You just feel like, nah, I feel lazy. At those times, be merciful with yourself again. Don't worry, you don't need to force these things upon yourself. When you do feel it, go for it and consume as much as you can. Like, it's almost like hunger. Just like your stomach gets hungry, your soul will get hungry as well. And when your soul gets hungry, feed it with the wise sayings of Imam Ali and with the Quran. Okay, so somebody asked a question about music. Sorry, repeat that question about the kids. Yeah, the lecture will be recorded. We'll send the link to you, inshallah. Sister Zinat will link to you, or myself will do. I'm a slow reader. Could you repeat that one more time? I'll start talking about the music one. Lord of the Rings music? Are you kidding me? I mean, look, when it comes to music, the thing is, it comes down to tashkhis al-mawdu'i. It comes down to you. You have to ask yourself, is this music? Is it something which is promoting haram? Is it something that would be played in a disco? Is it something that would be played in a haram gathering? You see people dancing around to it. That kind of music is haram. You don't, listen, trust me. Trust me, you know when something is haram. You should click on the chat and it should open. Somebody just told me. I feel so old right now. click on the chat, they said, and it should show you. Where is the chat? Oh, this is so much easier. I'm dyslexic, guys. Anyway, music. Yeah, Lord of the Rings music, come on. It's not. It's just not haram. In fact, see, when it comes to Agha Sistani, he basically says that, look, any music which is played in a haram gathering, which is suitable for a haram gathering, you know that type of music. It's Miley Cyrus, it's Britney Spears, it's Justin Timberlake, it's all this music which you see. It's the mainstream which has been promoted. It is specifically about sins and haram and alcohol and illicit behavior. Haram, you just know. You just listen to it for a moment. You're like, it should make you cringe. Lord of the Rings music? Are you kidding me? So when it comes to Imam Khamenei, he says that, look, the music, which is taking you towards dunya, I'm just giving you the short of it. When it's taking you towards dunya, avoid it. And when it's taking you towards high ideals, when it's taking you towards Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's good. Lord of the Rings music is so epic. If it's reminding you of Imam Zaman and the battles which will take place, good versus evil, I think it's pretty self-explanatory. I'll tell you something else which has helped me. Unless you know for certain that something is haram, don't doubt in it too much. It's halal until it's haram. It's like this with any action in life. It is innocent until proven guilty. Okay, so that's that. Kids, how do you get them excited by recitation of the Quran? Let me be honest with you guys. The recitation of the Quran for kids is boring. Why would they want to listen to recitation of the Quran, especially when they don't understand what it's saying? Yes, some reciters are beautiful, and that starts to appeal to you once you start to understand that the Quran is, for example, a love letter from God, that it's a divine book. And I think it would appeal more to adults. But for kids, the recitation is, they will listen to it, but this is just my personal understanding of it. Maybe you do have a special kid who is like really in tune with it, but otherwise, generally speaking, no. To get kids engaged with the Quran is a little bit more difficult. I'd say with kids, instead of going straight to the Quran, let's focus on the stories presented by the Quran. Like the story of Musa. It's such an epic story. The story of Nuh, the story of Prophet Noah, all those animals and the ark, these things. If we teach these things to our kids from a young age, they'll grow up loving the prophets and A'imma. How does Islam explain dinosaur fossils and skeletons? It's so funny. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created so many things that we don't know about. We are clueless about. And even for me, this was a question like, if the Quran is real, if it's really a divine book, why did Allah not mention dinosaurs? As though dinosaurs are like a central, pivotal thing to human existence, and that is the defining episode of history. It's not like that, guys. Dinosaurs are just one of the millions and billions of creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and they did exist. And yeah, I mean, there's nothing more to it. Allah, you see, what's happened is, and this again goes back to our discussion of how the media has defined what is good and evil. We live in a world, guys, where those who have discovered dinosaurs and done all the research on fossils and all the research when it comes to any kind of biology has been done by non-Muslim Westerners. And because of that, we see them as those who get to define what these things actually mean. But it was Muslims, Islam, that teaches us to go and search and find out and dig and realize what your origins are and all of these fascinating things. We were the ones who were supposed to do it. But because of certain things that happened throughout history, we fell into an era where we fell behind in terms of technology, in terms of research. We fell completely behind. going forward, you should know this. We are going to pick up the pace again, inshallah, and we're going to become those people who discover way more things. Like, you cannot imagine what we are going to discover in the future. Imam Mahdi alayhi salam, when he comes, our riwayat, our hadith teach us that when he comes, humanity will have only discovered 1 or 2 letters out of 23 letters. When he comes, we will discover the remaining letters. And there's other hadith to that extent that, you know, up until the Zuhur and the Qiyam, the uprising of Imam Mahdi, we've only discovered like 10% of human potential when it comes to science and knowledge and biology and chemistry and physics and mathematics. Only 10%. Less than that. When the Zuhur happens, we're going towards, oh my, right now, future generations are going to look at us and say, wow, they were cavemen. Look at them. They go to shops and fight over toilet paper. That's what humanity is right now. And yeah, so, okay, so let me try to go back and answer one of the other questions before I come to Sheikh Zakzaki. I don't know. All I can say is whenever Sheikh Zakzaki comes into my mind, I just feel angry and upset. I don't know what's happening. I think he's still imprisoned. I don't know what the Nigerian government is trying to do right now. Right now, we need to focus on creating more Sheikh Zakzakis. May Allah bless him and his family. And by the way, guys, and I'm glad that you mentioned Sheikh Zakzaki, there are very few heroes in the world today. Sheikh Zakzaki, without a shadow of doubt, is one of them. This is a man who, when he went to Nigeria, converted millions to Islam. And in the path of Islam, in spreading healthcare, free healthcare among the Nigerians, spreading brotherhood, working with Christians, actual Islam, which is spreading love and peace. The enemy actually killed 6 of his sons. 6 of his sons. Just think about that for a moment. And imprisoned him and shot his wife. That's a hero. Why do you think the Muslim Ummah is unable to produce experts in the fields of science, evidenced by a handful of Muslim Nobel Prize winners? How can one know that he is a mu'min in terms of possessing their qualities? Well, Muslims actually, the thing is, there's a difference between Islam and Muslims. Islam pushes us towards technological advancement all the time. If you look at the religion of Islam, because I'm studying fiqh now, right? Studying fiqh, and if you just look at it, this is like the intricate details that it goes into about how to live your life. It's not just what you see on, for example, Sistani.org or Khamenei.ir. You know, when you seeing your rulings, actually that fiqh has a lot of detailed background behind it. I'm saying that Islam has pushed us to actually excel in every way, and it's given us the kind of 4 walls, a kind of a runway to excel and become better. We are supposed to be the ummah which leads the rest of the world. It says, وَكَذَلِكَ جَعَلْنَاكُمْ أُمَّةً وَسَطًا, and we have established you as a fair, just nation. We should be, Islamically, we should be the ones who define what it means to be educated and what it means to be uneducated. But unfortunately, we've fallen behind. After the Islamic Revolution and the passing of 40 years, what's going to happen now is we've seen this, and you're witnessing it now, where technological advancements are happening really rapidly. Science is improving really fast in Iran. It's the fastest, the growth of science in Iran is the fastest in the world. Just yesterday, the day before yesterday, they launched a new satellite, and they're going to launch a new one again. So as we see the decline of the Western world, the Muslim world now is actually rising. And right now it's been kind of focused in Iran. But as time goes on, because Imam Khamenei has started talking about the establishment of the new Islamic civilization. So we're going to see that expanding throughout the Islamic world. And you're going to see a new, inshallah, golden era where we are going to become the scientists, the greatest scientists of the world. We're going to become the greatest thinkers. We're going to become the greatest people who create the most fantastic technology. The technology that we have right now is nothing compared to what we're going to have in the future, guys. Wait and see. Somebody asked a very interesting question, but I'm only going to take one more question, if that's okay. If you've asked a question and I haven't answered it, please do save it and I'll answer it in the next session, inshallah. So the last question, let's go for... Ooh, really good questions, guys. I wish I could answer all of these, but we're out of time. The earth was there. So dinosaurs do not go against Islam. Evolution does. Evolution doesn't necessarily go against Islam, but I don't want to discuss that right now because that's going to go into a whole. It's a big. That's a lecture on its own. You would not get bored though. It's really fascinating. Okay, so let's go with this one. What made people start Christianity and other religions? First of all, we have two types of religions. We have divine religions and we have non-divine religions. Christianity, okay, let's put it this way. There's only one divine religion. In today's world, it manifests in the form of Islam. From Adam till today, there's only been one religion. But people, because they get misled, the religion which Jesus taught was the religion of Islam. The religion which Ibrahim taught was the religion of Islam. Not the exact same Islam that we have today, because this is the most advanced and perfected form of religion. And it says in the Quran, اليوم أكملت لكم دينكم وأتممت عليكم نعمتي. This day have we perfected for you your religion and completed our favor upon you. Or rather, this day I have completed your religion for you. Remember that happened and on the day of Ghadir, when Imam Ali alayhi salam was made absolutely clear that he will be the successor of the Prophet. And it's because of the successorship of the Ahlul Bayt that Islam will always be a living religion. It will always be growing. It will always be reaching new heights. People have always deviated, and that's just the way human beings are. It's very difficult to get people to understand that there's one path and to follow that path. One thing that we can do to help ourselves from deviating is to read Surah Fatiha and actually think about what it's telling us. Because at the beginning, it tells us to praise Allah, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. But then it says, Ihdina Siratal Mustaqim. Guide us to the right path. That path. What is that path? صراط الذين أنعمت عليهم غير المغضوب عليهم ولا الضالين. It is the path of those who upon whom Allah has bestowed his blessings and favors, i.e. the path of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, the path of all the prophets and all of the Ahlul Bayt, and not the path of all of their enemies. So yeah, I mean, that there's a lot more you can say about it, but other religions are just different forms of deviation from the right path. And Christianity and Judaism are, at the end of the day, Ahl Kitab, because originally they were divine religions. But those people, when the next phase of the religion came, i.e. Islam came, they rejected it. So just quickly, there were Jews. Well, they weren't Jews in their time. They were actually the Muslims of their time. They followed the Prophet Moses, and Moses told them, after me, another prophet's going to come. Make sure you follow him. But when Jesus came, they rejected him, And so they became Jews. The Muslims were then following Jesus. And then what happened is Jesus told them, and this is written in the Bible, I've seen it myself. He's talking about a prophet who's going to come after him. His name will be Ahmad. And he tells the people, after me, you have to follow him. But what happened when Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam came? They rejected him. And so they became Christians, and the line continued. Thank you very much for listening, guys. I look forward to talking to you tomorrow, inshallah. And I'd like to ask you all to pray, inshallah, for the dhuhr of Imam Mahdi. Ajjalallahu ta'ala farajuhu sharif. And wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.